Well, that wasn't the smoothest intro, since you could see me for a second. How's it going? My name is Matthew, aka EasyBot. Welcome to another live stream, which I try to do every Sunday at 7 o'clock. Today's stream is sponsored by DistroKid. We love you, DistroKid. Also, please sponsor me, LaCroix. We love you as well. Maybe. Could love you more. How's everybody doing? I am back from NAMM 2023. I flew down there to play a show and go and do a little bit of networking, meet some people, and check out some of the new gear. And it was a really fun experience. Had a great time playing the show. Played with some really great artists. Heard some fantastic music. The flavor of LaCroix, you ask? That would be plain. It's the plain flavor. The show was great. The artists were so good. Got to play with just some people that are just bananas at their gear. So really, really proud to have gotten to do that. If you want to see all the artists, there's too many to name. You have to check on Instagram. And there's a lot of them, and you'll probably recognize some of them. So really good time, cool little club. But then I went to NAMM, right? So NAMM wasn't as exciting for everybody as we'd like it to be in terms of in the synthesizer community. There wasn't a lot of synthesizer releases this year in NAMM. There was a lot of guitar stuff, lots of other instrument stuff, but in the live hardware electronic music space, it wasn't enormous, right? And we do have KnobCon coming up in September and Superbooth coming up right around the corner, which is probably gonna have some more releases, probably going to be maybe a little bit more exciting in the live hardware synthesizer community, I think. I don't really know. So I'm not like withholding some secret or anything, but I do think it's going to pop off. But I did get to see some really cool stuff, and I do want to talk about that. And I don't have anything to demo because of course all that stuff is not released yet. But the stuff that I did get to play with was the Polyend Tracker Mini. So I did get to have a hands-on experience with the Polyend Tracker Mini for a while. And I'll talk to you about that. I also got to check out the Nina synth, which is that cool synthesizer that the pots automatically adjust when you move from preset to preset, and was really impressed by that. I got to see the new Verbose module, real-world interface. Checked out ModBap's new Eurorack module. I'm forgetting the name of it, sadly. So it's really great. I wish I wasn't Meridian, I think it's called. It was really cool. I was very impressed with the ModBap module, I have to say. I really like that one a lot. It has like ladder filters, and I think that module's maybe already been released, so maybe it wasn't news for NAMM, but it was my first time getting to hear it and play with it, and I have to say it was really good. It's just it's a filter module that you can assign different filter types in parallel or serial, I think, too, but cool filters like ladder filters and then like vocal type emulation filters. And I thought that was really great. I got to see some cool MIDI instruments, some like guitar chord thing that was kind of fun to play with. Also, what else was there? IntelliGel wasn't there, which was a bummer. I wanted to see Cascadia. But if anybody like brings some stuff up, I'll answer questions and see. Meridian was the one, yeah. And see if I saw it, if I can remember, because yeah, well, I have Bitwig 5 on my computer right now, but Bitwig was there, hence the Bitwig t-shirt I'm wearing now, and really great to catch up with them again. So let me just talk a little bit about the gear that I saw really quick. So let's start with the Polyend Tracker Mini. Polyend Tracker Mini, really cool. Felt really good in my hands. It wasn't the actual release that they're going to be shipping. They say the new release they're going to be shipping is actually going to be nicer than what I experienced, and there wasn't anything wrong with what I experienced, so I'm not really sure what that means. But so it was great. Stereo sampling, a welcome thing for the Polyend Tracker Mini. It also is using a new chip in it, so it's not using the Teensy 3.1, which is what the original Polyend tracker has, and frankly is a real bottleneck for the Polyend tracker, though they did say they are going to take a lot of the upgrades from this new tracker and port it over to the other trackers, so you can use the same projects on both devices because they use the same firmware. However, the Polyend Tracker Mini will have stereo sampling and a built-in microphone, but no FM radio. So it's a faster experience on the Polyend Tracker Mini, not faster in terms of navigating the menus. The menu navigation on the original tracker is actually still a little bit faster because there is more buttons and they're larger. So it's a little bit easier to get around, but there's a lot of shortcuts on the Polyend Tracker Mini with the shift button. It feels pretty natural, I have to say. It's just fun. And one of my least favorite things about the Polyend tracker they did away with, which was the ability to erase a pattern in your song mode view. If you erased a pattern in a song mode view, it would erase the pattern in general. It would just destroy the pattern. And I found it to be like, you'd accidentally delete it. It just was not intuitive. So they just erased the ability to even do that, which basically fixed it. So the workflow is on it now is generate, build patterns. It's a lot more similar to Electron boxes, to be honest. So it works a lot like how Electron boxes work now. So that's great. I think it's a really good thing because I think they were kind of shooting themselves in the foot with being able to destroy the patterns. I think people were just thinking they could use it like an Ableton clip launcher when that wasn't exactly what it was. So that's really cool. They're using a brand new chip that's no longer teensy. Much faster. They're using like 50% of the CPU, so they have a ton of room for it to grow. And I know that there is concern, like when the Dirty Wave M8 community, I'm a Dirty Wave lover, like top tier. I love the Dirty Wave M8. I love it a lot. It's one of my favorite pieces of hardware that I own. And there's concern that it's like in the same territory. This is my official opinion on the matter. Polyend mini tracker and Dirty Wave M8 are not the same at all. They don't do the same stuff other than use the same interface to generate music, like you're sequencing in a tracker look, right? But Polyend Tracker has fill options. The M8 has tables. The M8 has synthesizers. The tracker is a sampler that can use samples as synthesis. They're just not the same machines. And also, the more trackers, the better. We want trackers. We want lots and lots and lots of trackers. We want portable trackers. We want portable devices. We want built-in batteries, rechargeable batteries like both of these devices have. That's the future of music tech, and this is good stuff. So I think everybody should be super stoked about it and be welcoming to it and not be unfriendly to Polyend about it because they're great people and this is just another device in that sphere. We should welcome it in. So I was happy to play with it. I think it's really cool, and I think that I would like to have one. I don't see why I wouldn't like to have that and an M8. That'd be great. The next thing I want to talk about is the Nina Synth. And the Nina Synth is that cool synthesizer, 12-voice analog synthesizer with built-in effects that the pots jump back and forth as you move through presets. Actually, hang on. Before I talk about the Nina, let me check out the chat here because I know people have something to say here. Did you check out the wild delay pedal with the spinning magnetic cylinder? I didn't see that. I didn't see much of any guitar pedals there, Matt. Any opinion which is better for sequencing external gear, the Polyend tracker or the M8? I'm assuming what you're asking. I would say that they're both the same in terms of what's going to be good at sequencing external gear. I move faster on the M8 because the M8's built on the LSDJ style workflow. It's very, very fast for me, and I'm more familiar with the M8 than I am with the Polyend tracker. So for me, the M8's going to be faster. But I think somebody who's really good at the Polyend tracker and you give them an M8, like they're going to be really slow on the M8. So it's like, you know, it really just depends on how quick you get with it. Like I can load up a sequence all my gear with my Octatrack in like 2 seconds because I know the thing really well. So it's like, it's all kind of relative to your skill level with it or experience with it is really what I mean to say. Can I say quickly what is a tracker? So a tracker is, originally trackers were used to program music for video games in the early 90s, I believe, or late 80s, but early 90s is really when it took off. And a tracker uses kind of like a spreadsheet workflow, and you have effects columns. It's a step sequencer that is a vertical step sequencer. It moves down the step sequencer. You have multiple tracks, and they can trigger samples or synthesizers or external gear. And you have things like tables, which are sequencers within a step, and that's a really powerful feature. And that was something that they were using to generate chords out of like single notes by having a note move so quickly within a table. So a sequence moving so fast within a step that it would create the sound of a chord. And that's where like those 8-bit sounds came from, and a lot of really fun music that we grew up listening to as we were playing on Nintendo and what have you, or whatever generation you come from. So it's just another way of making music. The Electron boxes are all based off of the tracker workflow. Like everything's based off of step sequencers, but the Electron workflow is based off of trackers, in my opinion, more so than anything else, because it's really just a tracker because of the per step sequencing and the way they format it. And especially if you look at the song mode on the Digitakt, Digitone, Syntakt, Octatrack, Analog 4, A4, that song mode is exactly what you see in a tracker. And the same as you see in the Polyend tracker, to be honest as well, and the same as you see in MA, that interface of that top level hierarchy there, that's what a tracker does. You go in and you work on a pattern, and then it's already a song mode. So trackers just work in a song mode right from the get-go. So you can use them in a live mode, but they really work in that way. So, but it's a lot like, it's cool to look at. You feel like you're a real nerd as you're programming trackers, and that's actually a good thing for us nerdy musicians. Okay, so let me talk about the Fast Tracker. Fast Tracker's cool. Octamed, yes, another good one. Yeah, you guys are right there. So another synthesizer I want to talk about was the Nina synth. And like I said, the Nina synth is that synth 12-voice analog polysynth that will jump, the pots will move based on your preset, and it's multi-timbral 4 voices. So I was so impressed by the synthesizer. It was my favorite synthesizer at NAMM, and probably one of the coolest synthesizers I've seen in quite some time. Desktop format, not cheap. It's over $2,000, but it's a 12-voice analog poly with where the pots jump. It's crazy. So you can do 4-voice multi-timbrality. If you're not familiar with multi-timbral, what it means is I can assign a MIDI channel to a different subset of sounds. Basically, it's like having 4 of the same synthesizer, and I can switch between those parts and adjust them. And as you switch between your multi-timbral parts, the pots will jump to your multi-timbral part. So if you're playing a live show, and for instance, you're playing a live show, you turn we go to track 1 on the Octatrack. These are relative encoders, right? Or they're rotary encoders. So they're going to, or endless encoders, I'm sorry. These are endless encoders. So when you turn them, they can turn forever, and they just snap to the correct position. Now on this box, they're not endless encoders. They actually have a dial telling you what value they're at right on the encoder, rather than a screen telling you, but it also has a screen. So when I switch to a track per se, a track on it, the encoder will jump to that position. So if I'm playing a show and I have a bass line, I can go to the multi-timbral part 1 and start adjusting the cutoff on my bass line. Then I can go to my chord section, because I got 12 voices, jump over to the chord section, pots will flip over to the correct spot. I know exactly where the cutoff is. I know where the envelope depth is. I know where the ADSR is. All that stuff is where it's supposed to be, with an actual dial telling me. And it's instantaneous. There's no loading time. It was pretty incredible. I gotta hand it to them. These guys pulled it off. The synthesizer also sounds really great. So I'm pretty impressed. I think they did a good job. And if you have enough money in your bank account to go buy yourself a synthesizer like that, I do recommend the Nina. I think it gets my stamp of approval. I would like to have one. Maybe at some point I gotta start saving up for more stuff, I guess. But I'm not in the market for another synthesizer. But if I was, the Nina would be the one that I pick. Yeah, the Nina price is pretty tough there, Reef. I feel you on that one. So what was the other piece? There was that. There's I didn't see the Apollo pedals, but they were announced in the same time period. The Apollo pedals that are coming out are really cool. Ricky did a video on it that released on Saturday or yesterday. I have my eye on that. I've been looking for an analog, or not analog, but looking for a stereo compressor for my whole setup. However, I do have some plans. I'm going to start playing with integrating the Octatrack compressor into this new template that I've been working on. Now I've now decided to completely rework it, which is why there's been such a delay on me coming out with this techno template. But I just keep going back. I was like, I keep liking the version of the template that I've already made for the Octatrack for the performance template. And I'm like, every time I go to make something new, I'm like, it's still just not as good as the one I've already made. So I wanted to make something completely different with it. So I think I'm gonna put compressors on the through machines. So when the audio comes in, we can compress it at that point. Because you don't want to have the compressor at the end, because I don't want to compress the effects because they're insert effects. And I also don't want the compressor to be on a master track because I like to do resampling and you can't, and I'll double compress. So what I'm thinking, I'm going to put a compressor and an EQ on the inputs at that level, because the Octatrack does have a little bit of, it does kind of steal a little bit of your high end from these boxes when you integrate it in. So I do think a little bit of EQing on the high end is a good thing with the Octatrack. So that's kind of like where I'm at. I've been working on some music. I did want to share a little bit of what I did during my performance too, and then we're gonna do some music production. Anybody during this stream is welcome to bring up anything at NAMM, and if I can remember it, I'm happy to talk about it. Right now, off the top of my head, the Nina and the Polyend and the Meridian, well, and the Verbose real-world interface, that thing's a little bit harder for me to even comprehend or talk about. It's a lot of envelope followers. It's more like it's an interface, but it has built-in microphones right on the panel. You could touch them and sing into it. And Mark Verbose was literally singing into it as loud as he could, like right in my face. And that was an interesting experience. Oh yeah, and of course the Endorphins guitar, the pedal form of Golden Master and Endorphins Ghost, both of which were really cool. And I did play with Julia from Endorphins at the show, and Julia is a master class at modular techno, for real. If Julia ever sees this, which I doubt Julia will, you're a master class at modular techno. And yeah, great job, really cool. So they're a really cool combo, Endorphins. I like that company, I like those people. When I get to meet somebody who's actually like building their modules at companies like this, if I like them, I like their stuff more too. And I like them. And so I also like their stuff more. But the Golden Master is another one that is good to have on end of chain. It could be a replacement for an analog heat if the analog heat is just doing a little bit of pseudo compression and mild saturation. You could replace, not that you should replace your analog heat, but if you're using it for a compressor, you might want to use something that is designed to compress. Maybe. I did get to hang out with Electron for a bit. They brought Overbridge over to AAX, so now Overbridge is available on Pro Tools, which is something that some people might be interested in, but frankly, not. That wasn't a super exciting announcement from Electron. For me, it was exciting because I got to hang out with Electron once again, and got to hang out with the CEO of Electron, which was pretty cool. Have some conversations with him about Electron and their goals. And their goals are very good and very exciting. So I'm so stoked. Everyone should be stoked for Electron. They're not gonna stop making cool stuff. Which actually brings up something I wanted to talk about. The Syntakt. Let's do something really quick. Let's get this out of here. The Syntakt is syntactular. Somebody's asked me a question in my Discord, and their question was, what do you think of the effects block on the Syntakt? And like, does it bring any value to the Syntakt? And I think the effects block on the Syntakt is the best feature that the Syntakt has. I think without the effects block on the Syntakt would be more like just a model cycles and something else. I don't know. It would be like half of a rhythm and a model cycles. But with the effects block on the Syntakt, it makes this instrument just so powerful. And honestly, I love my Digitone, and I'm not getting rid of it. This is my setup. Like, I love this setup. But if I had to choose, I would probably choose the Syntakt over the Digitone if somebody forced my hand, partly just because of that effects block, because of all the options I get with the second filter. I love how the sound design I can do with the 2 filters, and I also love that I can do sidechain, or not just sidechain, but that I can do envelopes on a bus level so that I can chop sounds up and make rhythms out of volume changes. That's something you can do with the effects block, and that's something that is really popular in your DAW and is hard to do elsewhere. You can do it with LFOs, but to be able to do it on a sequencer is just so much more intuitive than an LFO. An LFO is like, you're thinking about timing, and you don't really even know what you're generating with an LFO. You just have a kind of a guesstimate, and you're listening to it. On a sequencer, you know exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. You could literally just look at the grid on a sequencer and know it's going to duck on this moment, or the volume's going to drop on this moment. And then you can also shape it right here with your envelope generator. And that's just so good and so useful in music production, especially if you do a similar workflow to me where the Digitone runs into the Syntakt. So the Digitone also gets an effects block. And that's just, so this section right here to me is now just one machine. And I think it's really great. Octatrack V2. No, we didn't talk about the Octatrack. We talked about how difficult the Octatrack was. But we didn't really talk about the Octatrack in terms of like what's going to happen with it. I don't have any expectations that they're going to make another Octatrack. I think I have more of an expectation that they'll make another device that kind of like eliminates the Octatrack in some way, or has its functionality as well as new stuff, because they're like, the chips that we have now, how powerful we can make these machines. Like, there's no reason for it not to have 48K stereo sampling with unlimited sample time. There's no reason to not have way more robust effects. Why not have granular synthesis built into it with reverb and delay on top of it? All that kind of stuff, that should be integrated into expensive pieces of gear like these in this day and age. And I think that's where it's all going. No one's quite done it yet. I guess some people, Eurorack does it, but you have to buy it all individually. But yeah, I think that's I imagine that's where they'll head with their box. I'm not withholding anything from you right now. I'm as in the dark as you are about what would happen, or what will happen in terms of, will there be another Octatrack? What I want, like, I'll say this anytime, like, I love the Octatrack. I know some people maybe consider me like the Octatrack guru on the internet or something. I know the Octatrack as well as I know the Octatrack because, for one, I teach it all the time, so that, you want to learn something well, teach it to people. So I offered to teach it to people, so I had to get really good at it so I could actually answer questions. And that was just really, I wanted to be able to, put food on the table, and so teaching music stuff is a useful thing to know. But I want, if somebody came out with something that was as comparable as the Octatrack is in terms of being a live hardware performance mixer in a small footprint without being a gigantic block on my table, and it sounded good. It'd have to sound really good, and I have to be able to do live resampling, and I need to be able to make my own custom effects because that's what I like to do. I would use it. 100%. I'm not saying I would stop using the Octatrack, but I would use it. It would be a part of my workflow. Maybe it would replace the Octatrack as a performance mixer, and I would then use the Octatrack, and it's the way it's mostly used, or has been mostly used, as just a sampler and an arranger. But nobody's done it. I haven't heard of anybody working on it. So the Octatrack it is still, and maybe it will be that way for a long time still. So, yeah, that was a whole lot of talking. It's been 2 weeks since we've chatted on Electron Talk. I believe this is episode 28. We've been doing this for a long time, my friends. And I did want to share a little bit of music with you and talk a little bit about what's up with this workflow, and what do I think about it, or what's up with these choices that I have on the table. So I continue to use the Roland TB-03. I have considered now having somebody build me an RE303. I'm slightly hesitant to do that because of the price for the functionality doesn't beat the functionality of an actual TB-03, and these are, less than half the price of an RE303, and it has built-in effects, and Yeah, well, it has built-in effects, but it is digital as opposed to being analog like in an RE303. The RE303 is literally uses the vintage components from a actual Roland 303. And I really love the 303 sound. I've always been fond of it. I know it's one of the sounds that when I was young drew me into listening to electronic music at all. And so I want it in my life. And this is definitely doing the trick, but I would love that black RE303. It would be really cool to have here. Or are we talking about 303s in here? What's up, Mikey? We got Mikey303 asking about 303s. We are talking about 303s. But I'm just mentioning what that I kind of want an RE303. I'm not going to get an Avalon, and because they're impossible to get, and I'm not going to pay the price that people want me to pay to buy their Avalon. It's just not going to happen when this is honestly doing the trick. But there is something to be said about having it be analog as opposed to having it be ACB, which does a great job of representing analog quite well. I mean, it sounds awesome. I love this thing. So, but I would love a RE303. Have you seen that mastering box that a person made for the Octatrack? Can't remember his name. You're talking about the Doctron stimming combo. The instant mastering chain is very expensive, and I would love to own it. Yeah, if I had the money for that, I would buy one, because it would be a great addition to my setup. That's for sure. Yeah, the TB-03 is great, but a different kind of great. Now it's great, but it is great in the 303 space. I think still though, I think it does what it does. Its sound, like it does the 303 sound, and it does it pretty well. It does it a lot better than a lot of other boxes, and it's not fully analog. But I have heard the difference between the analog version of the 303 and this version of the 303, and you can tell the difference. There's a grit to it. It cuts deeper into the mix. Yeah. Well, I know you probably own one, Mikey. You love all 303s, which I respect. Big respect. We gotta love all those 303s. So this is kind of cool. This right here, this business card is Metal Photo's business card. If you're not familiar with Metal Photo of Cincinnati, Metal Photo of Cincinnati is responsible for all those amazing faceplates in Eurorack. And this is literally how they print their business cards, right on a piece of metal. If you're into Eurorack or looking to build your own Eurorack modules and you're like, oh, how do I even do this? Well, Metal Photo is somebody you would want to talk to, especially if you're in the US, because then you don't have to get it sourced outside the US, because there's a lot of expenses when you leave the US as well. So really cool company, really nice people. These are the same people that make IntelliGel panels, that make the Whimsical Wraps panels, which are just beautiful. So many different people's panels. But they're responsible for some of the best looking Eurorack panels that are available. Metal Photo. I don't know if they do like Instro, or I think they're doing stuff in Europe with somebody else, but it's pretty cool. Can't the analog heat be used as a stimming box at the end of the chain? A stimming box. Is that what we're going to call it now? A stimming box? That's quite a title to earn, to get the end of chain as your name. Yes, that is what people use the analog heat for. It was actually, Jeremy Blake just talked about this, that I think he said he pretty much leaves it on the saturation model or something. Oh wait, no, was this somebody else? Oh, well, forget it. Forget what I said. Anyway, that's what everybody does with the analog heat. Everybody takes the analog heat, they dial in this sweet spot of saturation for their mix. Maybe they use the pseudo compressor preset and dial in the saturation. They sit it on their desk and they never turn it off. And it just sits there and everything runs through it. Everybody is like, yeah, I love this. My stuff is, all the sharp edges of my sounds have been rubbed down by the warm cloth of heat. That's a weird analogy, but or a weird way to describe it, but that's really what it's doing, right? It's just adding a little bit of color to your sound. I know color is like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean adding color? What it means is adding a little bit more harmonic distortion. So sounds get a little bit more full. It expands kind of like your EQ spectrum. If it was all just a bubble like this, Like if your sound could all fit into a bubble like this, after it runs through the analog heat, it's gonna be a little bit more like this. And if it has that little compressor on it, if it was in the shape of this, it might be the shape of this now. And so everything is a little less dynamic. And I do think it's a great way to use it. And honestly, it's the way I've used it the most. And that's partly because it's a huge machine. Like the analog heat's, you know, it's the entire size of a Syntakt, Digitone, or a Digitakt sitting on the desk. And to use it for just a distortion box, it's like, holy smokes. Like if you're just processing sounds, just distortion, it's a lot. I think another great use for the analog heat would be to just sit it by your computer where, you know, connect it to your DAW, have it on overbridge all the time, and process your sounds in your DAW through the analog heat and bounce them through the analog heat. So you're not like doing it over and over. You're just running it through the heat and then you're leaving it on your track. I think that's a great workflow. That's another workflow that I've done with it and had like great success with it being a really useful tool in that regard. Can you do the same thing in a DAW? I do think it's noticeably better. Kroglon. That's a great name. It's like kind of sounds like some sort of enemy from the Avengers. Kroglon. We're gonna have to take you out, man. But I do think it is. I do think it actually is a noticeable difference from the digital stuff. Now, let's get real. Like digital plugins are amazing, and they're a lot more flexible, and you have way more to choose from than you do from the analog heat. But the analog heat's got to make a sound that you can't make in your computer because it just can't do it because this is an analog distortion unit, and digital stuff can't. It just can't. It's always an emulation. So this is not emulating it. It's literally doing distortion and doing harmonic distortion in a very pleasing way. Right? Or different process. Let's see. I think it sounds great. Not a 303 aficionado. I can't tell. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're not a 303 aficionado, like honestly, most folks probably couldn't tell the difference between a RE303 and the TB-03, or just a free plugin on your computer. My dog is smoking crack right now. Okay, we've done a whole bunch of talking. What is it? It's already been 30 minutes. I haven't even made a single sound on here. But this is called Electron Talk. That is what these streams are. And they're for talking. And sometimes we do the talking like this. We can talk into this too, you know? Yeah. I go back and forth between what vocoder I want to use, and I find myself coming right back to my VT-4. And part of the reason is because, well, it just has a couple sounds in it that are so good and so easy to use that I can't help but just plug it in and just go at it. And I also found another great thing to use with it, and another reason why I've continued to hold on to this is, oh my goodness gracious, is the OXI-ONE, which I've talked about on stream many times, I'm sure. But I've been using it with my Roland VT-4 and just setting a sequencer in that harmony chord mode, which is so darn useful. And then you can use it and sample it into the Digitakt. And now that the Digitakt has the slicing features and the quantized recording feature, which is really powerful and I haven't fully utilized, I can chop up vocal chord samples. Like I could sequence me singing into the VT-4 and then chop it into the Digitakt. And it's just giving me access to more sounds. So I think that's pretty great. But let me show you some of the music that I've been working on. Some of it, I think I shared a little bit of it on the last stream 2 weeks ago. I've gotten a lot further than I was 2 weeks ago with some of the music. And I also want to show you the tracks that I played at my set. I'm not going to play them all the way through because it would be a 20 minutes of me playing that. Maybe that is something that you want to see, but I just wanted to show you which ones I picked to play at the set. And yeah, it starts here. So I started off with this track. I'm just going to go through very quickly what the patterns were. opened with this song. That was my opener, and it goes into this pattern. And then it ends on this, and this is something that only people who have been to my shows have heard me play, because I've never played it for a stream or made a video on it, but it gets a lot of people's attention. I'll just perform it for you really quick so you can see why, because it gets a little intense. So that's how I end that track that I just showed you. Almost like falling off my own table. So that was the end of that track, and it's a really fun one. It gets people moving, gets people like really jumping around. And then I moved on to this track, which Good and Bad Dreams is one of my favorites that I've written. It's actually a pretty complex song to perform. There's a lot to remember to do it like the way that I envision the track. It goes into this. And then this builds up into this halftime breakdown. And then I played this newer track, which went really well. I have to tell you, so I played with Sarah Longfield, played directly after me, and before me it was Julia Bondar from Endorphins. And so it was Julia, me, and then Sarah Longfield. And me and Sarah both had a little bit of technical difficulties. Sarah struggled a little bit more because one of Sarah's cables went bad at the show, so that was really unlucky. But for me, I have these pieces of tape on here. I play out a lot. I'm playing out again in like less than 2 weeks, playing another show. And so I do things like this. I put pieces of tape on my gear because I need things to always be the same way. Like I need to know where things go. And this is just the way it is now. They're in weird spots. I know that. They don't make sense. They make sense like if you knew the story behind why they're there, but they would make sense. But one day they won't be there when I move to a fully new set. Right now I'm still playing in the same set. Anyway, long story short, these pieces of tape are here to tell me where to have my volumes for these different machines. And the first 2 tracks that I played at the show, of course I'm nervous. I'm playing with other people, with a lot of other people, a lot of really great artists that I totally respect and think very highly of, and I would love them to think highly of me and my music too. And my first 2 tracks, the volumes on my Digitakt were really high. My Digitone's volume was like maxed, and my Syntakt volume was really low. And Syntakt is my bass. And this is like my chord generator and leads. So we had chords really loud. I couldn't hear because I have terrible hearing anyway. And then all I could really hear was that drums and chords were being loud. And anyhow, what a nightmare that felt like. I figured it out in the middle of my performance and turned the volumes to the right spot, and everything was so much better, and I felt much better about it. But that was a real pain in the butt. However, we did get through it, and I did not have a panic attack afterwards. A lot of times, like after you play a show and you like don't like what you did, you're like, oh my gosh, I hate myself. You're just like, they're gonna remember me as such a terrible artist. I didn't have that experience, fortunately, but yeah, it can be, it can be spooky. So let me play a little bit of this song. This is one of my newest songs. I'd say it's not finished. I actually would always say that all of my songs are not finished. As long as if I'm able to play them at a show, there's room for me to improve them. There's room for me to adjust them, to expand them, make them longer, change some stuff. Like I'm always open to that. I'm never like, no, this song's in concrete. Nothing could be changed. I do think that as I grow as an artist, my music gets to grow with me. And I actually really enjoy that process. So like I'll go in, I've ruined songs because of that, to be honest. Like I'll be like, yeah, I want to do something new with an old track and I've completely screwed it. Like screwed the pooch. Like that track is toasted. It was like a favorite from old sets. They're gone. I have multiple tracks I've done that to, but that's just a part of that's the price I'm willing to pay to keep expanding the music and also just to have fun, like keep things interesting. But anyhow, what I'm getting at is this track's pretty new. I'll play it all the way through for you because I do like to play music during these Electron Talk streams. And yeah, that's it. You can tell me what you think of it if you want, but I'm gonna play it either way. Okay, so yeah, actually I think that went pretty well. That was a decent performance. There was definitely some mistakes in there. Quite a few, actually. Quite a few mistakes in that track, which is frustrating. When you double time or cut it in half, you need to change your kick. And what? I can't, the text is cut off. And let the take out. And lot. You need to change your kick and let the take out. And let the take out. I don't know what that means. So when I do the halftime thing or that modulated pitch thing, I can't change anything because it's a resample. It's a, whoa, it's a 1/5 down from where it was. So there's no changing. Get some takeout. I would like some takeout. All right. Eat it, come back. Okay, well, here's what we do. This is the plan. You have an Octatrack, you resample your audio, you pitch it down about 1/5, you go and get some takeout, and you come back, you eat it, you bring the pitch back up to its original position with a new kick. This is our plan. God willing, we're gonna do it. This cable, I'm gonna destroy this thing. It's pissing me off. This cable from my headphones is like all wrapped up and it keeps getting wrapped up on my mixer. I'm gonna snap it. I'm gonna snap it right off. Okay, how long has it been? 48 minutes? We have a ways to go. Like, I'm not done. We're gonna stream for a while. But I do wanna do my sponsorship. So DistroKid sponsorship. Today I wanna talk about DistroKid. We love DistroKid. They sponsored these streams. They're the best. I honestly love DistroKid. They're so friendly to me and really useful tool. And there's something new that I learned about DistroKid, and I'm gonna share it with you today. And that is this. Donk. You can turn, so say, for instance, you have a YouTube channel and you've been making music on it and you're sharing your music, you're making jams, but say you also have been releasing music on DistroKid or some other service, you can actually turn your YouTube channel into an official artist channel on YouTube, and it will give you access to perks that you don't normally have without getting a lot of subscribers. So typically to get some of the analytic perks on your YouTube channel, you have to achieve a certain subscriber goal. With this official artist channel, you can actually jump through the hoop quicker and get those analytics and some other cool features. And it's really easy. All you have to do is have a YouTube channel with the same artist name as that you're producing stuff on through DistroKid and link it right on their website. It's totally free. It's a part of DistroKid and their service is super cheap. And it will take all of your music you've been releasing and put it in a separate category right on your YouTube channel. So if people search for your music, they're gonna find your music and your YouTube channel, which is really, really helpful, especially if your primary goal is to release music. Whereas it's like, my channel is like, you know, it's a bit of talking, it's a bit of tutorial, it's a bit of music. So there's like a lot of different things that this does for me, which I find it useful. But for somebody who's just been releasing music and jams on their channel, it's really good for you. And it's a totally free service. So you can check that out again right here. Getting an official artist channel is a piece of cake. There's the instructions. You can Google them. It's really so simple. And yeah, this is what it looks like when you're doing it. I mean, look at, there's EasyBot. Like, it knows that there's a YouTube channel called EasyBot, and you just select it, and it takes 3 to 5 days, and it integrates it and gives you the little, it gives you that cute little music symbol next to your name in YouTube, which is really cool, and we all want. I'm still waiting for them to validate mine, so I don't have that symbol yet, but I do want it, so this is a service that I'm using. So once again, DistroKid's doing a service that I actually use. Another sponsorship that I really like. Also, while we're talking about sponsorships, I know I brought this up before. So this company wanted me to sponsor a video, and they wanted me to do sleep masks, and I was like, I don't understand how sleep masks in my channel have anything in common. I'm like making this like bumping electronic music. But so I said no to the you know, to their wonderful offer. But they sent me the sleeping masks anyway, and they're so expensive, but they are really nice. So thank you, Manta Sleep, for the sleep masks. And if anybody needs a sleep mask, check out Manta Sleep. I don't know, I don't sleep with a sleep mask, but my partner does, so hopefully she'll like them. But anyhow, that is the commercial for our stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy the EasyBot commercials. They're almost always DistroKid. All right, let's get back to making music and stuff, because that's really what we're talking about here. Bonk. Here we are. So yeah, that last track, primarily sounds coming from Syntakt and the Digitakt, this one. And it's actually that pattern that I just played right there is actually the main pattern from writing the song originally. So I actually wrote this song a long time ago when the Syntakt first came out, and I took this pattern and I kind of like copied it across 4 other patterns and just mutilated them until, well, I copied it across 1 other pattern and kind of like, it slowly progressed into new music. That's kind of like my workflow. And I thought it turned out pretty good. It actually sounds really good live. It's like got a good live mix to it. The kick hits like really hard, which is a good thing. That wasn't the last song I played. So the last song I played was Madness You, which is, I play this song at like every single show because it seems to be everybody's favorite. It's not my favorite, but I do like it. It's like this techno EDM hybrid song because it does this at the end. Right? Oh wait, I'm supposed to do that like this. So that was my closer, and I closed just like I did just now. So that was cool. But what I wanted to play was this newer music that I've been working on, which is in this new bank. And that starts with, so I'm starting to write this minimal techno track using the 303 as my bass line, not as like a 303 lead line, but as a bass, and not using the distortion really. Using it for its just beautiful filter sound. Check this out. Oh, like I dig this. Clean 303, dude. Clean 303 is best 303. I'm not gonna lie, it is my favorite 303 sound. But I mean, the distortion sounds good too. So I had this thing, right? I had this idea. I had this track, and I was like, I really want to get more complex. I'm still waiting on my MIDI guitar to come. It's a Starlabs MIDI guitar. Starlabs, where's my guitar? Come on. It's been a long time. Really nice guy, but man, I really want that guitar. So I wrote that pattern that you're hearing using the square wave, and I was like, oh, I want to make this a little more complex. And so I had this idea, okay, what if I just put like random triggers? We copy the pattern, We copied the pattern and we put kick drums and bass lines on the same notes along with closed hi-hats. So it's like tss. So it's a kick and a bass and a closed hi-hat all hit at the same time, but they're on random spots in the sequence. And it sounds like this. It's such a groove. It's such a great breakdown. Thought I had a fill condition, but I don't. But then when we go back to this, you can go back and forth between these two all the time in like a show. Here we go. Right? And we can go back to it now. You could just keep going back and forth and like adding elements back and forth. I like to experiment with like using just a couple patterns, but having every time I move to the next one, like throwing a new sound down. So here we are back into this. We can go. Get rid of that kick. Hi-hats. We need like some snare rolls or something. Damn it. So it needs more. It needs another pattern. I think I made space. No, I didn't make space for it. Maybe this thing. Yeah, this needs to go away. Copy pattern? No, we need to delete these patterns. Yeah, delete, delete, delete. Okay, cool. Because we just need to make space for this. So like what I would do, this is something I'm in the middle of working on, this track. So we take these elements out. Very minimal sounds. These sounds I got from an app. I generated them on an app on my phone. It's called Fractal Bits. This is a really great app. If you don't have Fractal Bits, you should get it. It's got like literally a billion sounds in it, and it generates them for you. And they sound really good, and they're pretty unique. So I really like this sound. It's very, very clean with the clean 303 and the like, where are these chord stabs I got going on here? I really like how they sound. Ugh. Digitone doing work, right? Like, oh, it sounds so good. Like those chords sound so good on the Digitone. I'm just happy with it. It's a beautiful synth. And the Syntakt doing literally nothing in this track. Way to do nothing, Syntakt. Get your shit together. Okay, so that was one of the tracks I'm working on. I don't think I'm gonna work on that track right now. I have to like be in the mood to work on like minimal techno, because it like I actually like go on the internet and I like listen to tracks and I'm like, oh, I really like what they did, and I'm like, I want to do something like that, not the same, but my own thing. And I'll go in and start like doing that. That's how I work on like techno stuff, because techno is very unnatural production for me. But I also have no intention on like trying to be a techno producer, because it's just like it's not my corner of the market, but I do like making it anyway. But so this is the other track I'm working on. It's like very unpolished. It's not ready to go. I was gonna play it at the show, and my fiance listened and she was like, that's not ready. And I take what she says really seriously, because she listens to my music all the time. And I'm glad that I didn't play it, because after listening to it again, I'm like, this is not ready. Not ready for me to go out and play shows with. You got it, man. Okay, so it's supposed to be like a really moody synthwave track. That bass is the Syntakt, 2 tracks on the Syntakt, panned a little bit left, a little right. So I don't really have anything to bring in, do I? Oh wait, I do. It's got another pattern to it. Okay, so that's not how it's supposed to progress. I build up to it, I'm supposed to go into the next pattern. So I don't like going from one pattern like right into that. Like it's sure, it works fine at a club. It really does work, but especially for my kind of music, because it's just like, mine's just like usually starts off like kind of chill and builds and crescendos. And like that's like my workflow for most live performance music. And sometimes I'll do like a breakdown with like half modulation at the end or half speed, kind of like to blow it out at the end. I like that kind of stuff. I like changing tempos in tracks. Most of my songs are like all different tempos, but I most often am working in 128 and 140. Those are the 2 BPMs that I find myself working in the most. This one is this part of the song is the build up, but I wanted it to go. You got it, man. God damn. Where's my drum fill? There it is. Okay, so a drum fill into it, here we go. Drum fill makes it sound so much better to transition with. I actually think I really want to change the notes for this synth line. And this is a lot about how I use the Syntakt in my music production. I do like to, I'll use whole tracks, like I'll build out a chord, like a poly chord on the Syntakt. I'll just use up 5 tracks and do it that way. I'll just copy and paste the same note across the pattern and then offset the note on each one. It's actually not that slow of a workflow. I mean, it's faster, of course, to just play a chord on a keyboard, but it does the trick, and it actually kind of gives you polyphonic aftertouch, so to speak, if you know what I mean. Like each one of those notes in the chord can have its own synth sound or its own filter cutoff and its own amplitude, volume, and envelope, and LFO, and all of that. So there's some advantages to it. It does require some more meticulous programming, but it works really well. What's going on, folks? Let me stop in here and say what's up to some folks. Yo, Circo. So I played with Circo. Yo, Circo. I don't know if you guys don't know Circo, who's in the chat right now. Circo is an excellent live hardware music producer, and we played together in California just recently. We both flew there and had a nice time hanging out with each other at NAMM and playing together. And Circo just crushed it. He crushed it. His set was off the chain. Really great. He's a great music producer. Great job. Circo, you're the man and a friend, and I like you very much. But I want to say more what's up to these guys too. WFM chords? Yeah, dude. The Digitone really just does it with the FM chords. I love it. I would love a Digitone keys, but you know, it's too big for me, my friend. Too big. Windows down music. Yeah, dude, that is kind of that vibe. So what's the most exciting announcement from NAMM? I did say, anybody who asked me questions about NAMM, I'm happy to answer. Circo, feel free to answer questions like that too, because Circo walked through NAMM as well, and I think he actually spent more time in NAMM than I did. If he's in the, up to you, whatever, you answer questions if you want, no obligation. But the most exciting announcement for NAMM, and I think for people in our sphere of music production, I mean, if you like watching my channel and you like watching the kind of stuff that I like to talk about and discuss, then I think the most exciting thing for you would probably be the Polyend Tracker Mini. That's probably going to be the most exciting thing. I don't think there was anything out there that was going to be like, oh, a new workflow. Like, can I learn a new workflow? Is this going to increase my productivity with music production? That's what that kind of device is. I think that's the stuff we get the most hyped about, is stuff that's going to create more productivity in our music production workflow. If there's something that can do that, people get really excited. Just a synthesizer, yeah, that's cool. But if it's a synthesizer that does something unique, and it like fast tracks you through your music, we get really excited. The Polyend Tracker Mini is something that is going to fast track you through your music because you can take it with you everywhere, right? And it is a more powerful version of the Polyend Tracker, plus stereo sampling in the microphone. So I think that was probably the most exciting announcement at NAMM. And then, of course, Super Booth coming up, probably going to be announcements there that are as exciting as Polyend Tracker Mini. That's my guess. Super Booth is the big blowout. So usually pretty exciting stuff. Personally, I'm very excited about IntelliGel's new semi-modular Cascadia. Yeah, let's talk about that. So the semi-modular, the only thing I'm thinking about that, dude, is that it's as expensive as the Nina synth. And I honestly think the Nina synth would probably get me a little further in my personal music production than the Cascadia. Considering the Cascadia, it's like $2,000. It's pretty big. It's pretty darn big. And I don't think it's meant to come out of its case and go into your Eurorack case. So like it is a standalone synthesizer. It's a cool idea, and I think it looks great, and I would love to own one. But I think if I was to put 2K into a synthesizer right now, it would be the Nina. Happy Pathway. Yeah, that thing looks pretty awesome. When I first saw it, I was thinking Mini Brute 2S, but nope. Mini Brute 2S? What? The digital distortion on the TB-03 gives it this very specific early 90s digital acid sound. Yeah, I think it sounds really great. Yeah, I really like that. Hello from Austria. What's up, Austria? Welcome. Obscure Machines. I love seeing all these people chatting with each other. It's cool. I'm not... Oh yeah, Somatera. Thank you, Circo. Right on. So Somatera, that was probably one of the most exciting ones, actually, was Somatera. Somatera is something that I do actually plan on getting. So everything else I mentioned so far, I'm going to get a Polyend Tracker Mini. It's just going to happen. It's like, because I just love that kind of stuff. But in terms of synthesizers, the Somatera I'm definitely getting. I need to get on that pre-order wait list because it's beautiful. This is like, the Prophet 5 is like one of those instruments that I love. Like that's my golden instrument, right? Some of us have this one instrument and we're just like, we love it so much. That's how I am with the Prophet 5. It sits out in my living room for people to play. I think the Terra is an instrument that would also go out in the living room. So if guests come over, or if I'm just in the living room, you know, which is where my partner would be and where my dog is. So like, I like to make music outside of the music room because this is, you know, I get left alone in here to do my work, so to speak. Stuff out there is like, hey, you're invited to be a part of this too. I think like the Somatera is one of those instruments that like goes in your living room and everybody can play because there's no like rules to it. There's no keyboard on it in the way that's traditional. So anybody can go up to it and everyone's going to be equally confused by it. Yeah, so I think that's a really cool synthesizer. It's a digital synth, but it sounds just fantastic. So if anybody has a complaint about the digital thing, there's nothing to worry about. It sounds really, really great. Really fun. Oh my God, Mikey, are you freaking kidding me? You've been on the fence about making a new Eurorack rig? I cannot even believe you. Mikey, Mikey-303, for anybody who doesn't know Mikey-303 in the chat, is an amazing music producer, for one. Amazing on the tracker. One of the best tracker users I've ever seen. You know, sorry, I'm making your head big, Mikey, but for real, you're amazing on that thing. But also, you did such a great job when you did use Eurorack when you were going NerdSec. So Mikey used to use NerdSec as opposed to the M8 and did everything in Eurorack, which was like, you know, probably like $5,000-$10,000 worth of equipment, whereas the M8's $500 and accomplishes all those same goals that he had. So it'd just be funny to see you go back to Eurorack. Hello from, is it Austria or Australia? Louis Eifert. I'm assuming Australia since your name is Louis. Maybe that is an Austrian name. Yeah. So yeah, okay, back to a little bit of music production. I'm like kind of sick. I wish I wasn't feeling like this, but I don't like it. Okay, so I did want to change these notes on this chord here and on this one. So it does what? We're gonna mute these tracks so we can just kind of hear it. I think this part sounds fine. I think it's when it gets here. Yeah. Let's see what happens. That might be better. I do do like that better. Here's the last part. Here we go. I'm trying to hear, what do I hear here? Sorry, I'm deep in contemplation because this is what it's like when I'm writing music. I literally just sit and listen and think and just, what do I hear in my head? What is missing? And like, there's so much, of course, that I'm in my mind is like, do this, do that, da, 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 da. But there's only so many things I can do. And you don't want to have too many tracks running at the same time because it starts to get really muddy because we're really limited with our mixing, right? And when we're working like on boxes like these, we don't have, I don't have this running into a mixer and then running into the Octatrack. I'm going right here into the Octatrack. I don't have an EQ here. So all my EQing has to be done here. And so basically what you're doing is you're either using bass width filters or you're just choosing sounds that fill the right part of the spectrum in your mix. And making sure that you don't have the two sounds that fill the same part at the same time playing. You take turns with them. And that's it's a tough thing to juggle, and it takes a lot of practice to like get it down and to find those sounds in your track. But what I was trying to do with this song, right, is I wanted to make something like this really emo dance track, but very emo. I wanted it to be like really sad and like, or sad, like just like, I don't know. Emo is the best word I could come up with it. But yeah, so those lyrics are, yeah, we go way back. I still remember your laugh, had a couple good days, a couple good nights, but that ain't how the math works. I think you got it backwards. We had a couple good days and a couple good nights. And I was like, oh, this is a fun, those lyrics are like, when you sing them over the track, it really goes with it. Yeah, we go way back, still remember your laugh. Like, it's I don't know, it just makes me think of a pop song. So it's like this poppy emo electron track. But I wanted it to get a little bit more complex when it goes into the second part of the song. So when we go into here, I'm using a lot of triplets. And the way I'm using triplets, if you look at my kick track, that's my kick track, but you can see that kicks aren't happening here because I'm using the retrigger on my kick so that I could get, is it there that I did it? Or is it here? Or is it here? It's here. So the rate is 1/6 and it's going for 12 steps. These are, I think these have trig conditions on them. Yeah, 1 of 2 and 2 of 2. So these are actually meant to break up that timing, but I wanted to get those triplet. I have triplet hats, I have triplet kicks, and it makes this like huge juxtaposition from the other part of the track. So we go from here to this. We go back. Back. You can hear this track. Actually, you need to fix that. So these two tracks. Why were those tracks droning on for so long? What is my trigger length? 128 steps, that's why. They're not supposed to be 128. It's supposed to be 64. 64. That'll fix this problem. Everything's at 128. So this is from me copying and pasting steps and not going in and adjusting them. So I don't want those to drone on to the next part of the track. Even though, you know, 64 is not going to like fix this problem. I have to literally calculate it to get it perfect. Literally. And I don't feel like doing that, but this will definitely improve it. Good golly. That's kind of cool. I love using the delay buffer to grab vocals and have it repeat the line. It sounds so good. It's a nice little break. then we go back, and we've done this a bunch of times. I will make you keep listening to it. Yeah. So much more work to be done on that one. But I am having fun with it. But it's definitely like, I'm trying to make like something, I'm trying to like really get it into this really fine spot. And what I mean by that is fine as in like this little nook that I need it to fit into. That it's got to be the perfect sound for it to fit into it. And it's not there yet. And some stuff I keep feeling like I need to take away. Like maybe I need to redo the vocal line and sing it in at a higher pitch instead of singing it so low. I don't really know. I don't know. Let's check in with the chat. Emotronic? Wake up, honey. New EDM acronym dropped. What's up, Michael? Michael's playing the next show with me. Michael, I'm so stoked to play with you, my friend. It's gonna be awesome. Hover mod for OT? I'm not sure what that means. Obscure machines. I think the play is better than the tracker, so I'm with you on that. So actually, you brought up you didn't bring up a good point, you brought up a point. People, they're probably polarized by the tracker versus the Polyend play in terms of, if we're talking Polyend. Polyend's made their way into our eyes and ears and hearts in a way that I didn't see coming once. Like, they're now a regular topic, not just on like my channel, but just in general. They've made their way into the same sphere that Electron has, which is cool because I do have like most of their stuff as well. My heart lies with Electron, as you may know. I love this stuff. I know it really well. I'm not going to change. I do like making music on those products, but this is like definitely where my heart lies. But the Polyend play was actually, one person played the Polyend tracker at the show in NAMM. And he is the guy who makes all the music for Polyend. So he works for Polyend. He was amazing. He was so good. I forget what his name was. I could look it up because it's on the sheet and I know the order. So, but anyway, he was amazing. Tracker music didn't sound like anything that M8 makes because it doesn't have synthesizers, right? And the M8, because the M8 has synths, a lot of the sounds on it are going to sound like chiptune-y because a lot of people buying it want access to 8-bit chiptune sounds because that's like why they love trackers. But the tracker is just using the tracker format to make music. So it sounded like, might as well have been like a Digitakt or anything, any sampler. But it was really good. He did a great job. But 2 people played with the Polyend play. It was Polyend play and modular. And that kind of blew me away that people were playing with the play and modular more than a tracker, or even more than like some people. There was a couple of Digitakts at the show, like 2 or 3 Octatrack people. Although Octatracks are just really popular in live performance, so like most artists that I know that play live have Octatracks, or a lot of them do. Sorry I'm like coughing so much. I am like legit sick, so I keep clearing my throat because I'm like, there's like stuff in my throat, I can't help it. But the Polyend Play, it sounded really good live, and I think that the Polyend, like, I haven't revisited the Polyend Play since I made my short video on it about like literally filling every single step on the play, because I love just like weird challenges like that, and it actually took me forever to do. But the Polyend Play sounds really good, and it generates patterns really fast. I think the Polyend, and I'd really like a handheld Polyend Play. That would be cool. They should make Polyend Play Mini. That would be dope. But I think the Polyend Play really lends itself to techno, like live techno, because the pattern generation and the multiple versions of patterns and its performance effects, like it is a real techno drum machine. Like I wouldn't just use the Polyend Play for me, but in collaboration with like a modular system or another synthesizer, I think the Polyend Play is going to really, really kick some ass. And I don't think it's like fleshed out yet, like in terms of like how many artists have used it and who's like got like all the tips and tricks out of the Polyend Play yet, because it's just like it's not that popular quite yet. But I do think we're going to start seeing more of it, considering that I saw 2 people play live with it at a show where the artists that were playing there were kind of handpicked from people who play live pretty often. So yeah, so that was cool to see. I was impressed, and I'm really happy about it. I'm happy that people are really enjoying the Polyend Play. I am not somebody who gets like overly emotional about pieces of gear. I love hardware electronic music so much that I love them all. I want them all. I'm never like, I hate that. There are some things where I'm like, if it's in the same ecosystem where someone's like, how about a model samples? I'll be like, model samples? I'm like, why don't you just get the Digitakt? Like, not that don't get the model samples, but like that's gonna be my opinion on it, because that's where I'm at in my music journey, is that I want all the features that the Digitakt has to offer. So the closest I ever get to like talking smack about a piece of gear is literally just because I just think that there's a nicer model in the same ecosystem to choose from. And that's like the worst it's gonna be for me. Otherwise, I just like them all. So I was really happy to see people play with the Polyend Play, because I enjoyed it, but this is still like I said, Electron's my workflow. Isobutane was the guy from Polyend who played the show. Yeah, he was a killer. He was a killer. Wait, Kev Human, well, I feel like Kurt Russell trying to work out what the Stargate does. That's legit one of the best lines on my channel I've ever heard. That was so good. Dude, when Stargate came out, I loved that movie. Oh my God. I'm such a sci-fi geek, dude. And Stargate was a good movie. I didn't get into the TV show. That was a good line. Really stoked. Michael, I'm really excited to play with you. The Electron workflow is so different from what I'm used to, Kev Human. Yeah, but what are you used to? He told us at dinner where the artist name came from in the ad. It was hilarious. Oh, I missed that part. I was sitting at the other part of the table. It was a much different dinner experience for me. I can absolutely see that. The play is so interactive. It's like they made a whole new synth around the tracker performance mode. It is like they made a whole synth around the tracker performance mode. It's definitely different. There are some things that I don't find as intuitive, but since they updated it with the program change, now that the Polyend Play has program change receive, so now you can have another piece of gear tell the play to move to a new pattern. That wasn't something that was there just a couple of weeks ago even. So that's like a huge deal. And that actually like made the play impossible for me. Cause like without program change, I'm not gonna have the play be my master. Like that's not what I would do with it. It's gonna be my drum machine. So something else is gonna tell it what to do. In my scenario, an Octatrack, for instance. But I couldn't do that because it didn't have program change. And now that it does, and a bunch of other MIDI implementation stuff, it's definitely an even better machine. You saw a guy use an MA and a play together and it made your brain explode? Yeah. PupTub is an artist killing it with the play. Aphex Twin meets Boards of Canada meets Tycho. Whoa, really? I'd like to be somebody who makes sounds that are like that. Aphex Twin meets Boards of Canada meets Tycho. Like, those are all really great sounds. Use a Novation Launchpad, a Pro 3, and a Circuit Tracks controlling a bunch of mini synths, MM2, blow-filled. Sometimes use a QY70 or QY100. Why are you using a QY70 or a QY100? Just curious, not taking a stab at you at all. Just because you like the older workflow. Circuit Tracks controlling a bunch of mini synths. What's the MM2? The micro granny something, maybe? I don't know what the MM2 is. That's cool, man. I like hearing people's workflow. The Launchpad can do all that stuff, especially the new Launchpad. Because of the arranger function? Right. Okay, that's what I thought. That's why anybody uses the QY70 or the QY100. Those are the Yamaha machines, right? Yamaha QY70. And that's like, they had like the most robust Micro Monster. Okay, yeah, people love the Micro Monster. They have the most robust arranger. But the Octatrack can do that too. I don't know if you're ever interested in checking out the Octatrack arranger. You should, because it can do a lot of that too. Maybe not to the degree that the Yamaha one does, because I never learned its workflow. But the Octatrack arranger has offsets, and MIDI channel change, mutes, scene selections per section of your arrangement. So very powerful. Can totally play with any band. Like you could take and if you were gonna go play with a band and they're like, bring your one instrument to go play with this any band, and I make most of my music with these boxes, this is what I would take every time, because it's the only piece of gear I own that can fit into any production. Anything. It can fit anywhere. You can take it with your modular. You can do whatever you want with it. Hey, actually, you want to see something cool? Check this out. So I know I'm not like the first person in the world ever to do this, so it's not like amazing, but it's cool to me because now I have it. So this is my second Octatrack that I keep around, and I got these wood end cheeks. I love wood end cheeks, and I didn't want ones that angle. I don't like angled machines. I don't like it. I'm modding the Rhythm and the Analog 4 with a case that makes it so they're flat, because it's ergonomic to me. I don't think it's only ergonomic for your eyes when they're angled. I don't care about what I see. I care about what I touch and feel. I don't want to hurt my hands. So anyway, I put these end cheeks on here. I think they look awesome. They weren't cheap. They're like 60 bucks. They look so beautiful, but check this out. Oh, yeah, that's a battery-powered Octatrack. So this is my little baby. This is my Octatrack that goes places. So I take this with me. I take this to work. Every day I go to work, I take a camera and I take a battery-powered Octatrack, and this is what goes to work with me. But yeah, super cool. I think it's beautiful. I love that it's the gray one. I think the gray with the wood looks so nice. And I'm glad I still have a gray Octatrack. But it's really cool. The battery charges right through the regular power supply, lasts for 5 hours. And for the most part, it goes with my modular. There's like these 3 desks here in my studio, but behind me, which I can't show you because I'm not gonna move the cameras, it'd be too much of a pain, but behind me is another entire table with it's only modular. And it gets a lot less use than this stuff, but it's still there. And right now I'm rigging it with all this glow-in-the-dark stuff because of course I own that patch cable company with all the glow-in-the-dark cables. So I'm gonna make my whole rig just glow all the time. And I'm pretty excited about that little project I'm working on. Modbang gang, let's go. Where's Hecklifter? Where are you at, bro? Where is he in here? Hecklifter, there he goes. What's up, dude? I am playing with Hecklifter and Michael, and Ybot, who's not in the chat right now. They're here, bro. I'm right here, bro. At the 4Bs on April 25th, so in 9 days at 7 o'clock. If you're in Seattle and you want to come see a lot of Electron boxes, I think everybody's playing with Electron boxes. I think the whole show is like Digitakts and Digitones and Syntakts, except for me with an Octatrack and the 303. At least that's what I think. I think there'll be some modular too. I'm not sure what you guys are playing with. Yeah, so it should be a really good time. Please come out and hang out with us. I actually made an Eventbrite for it, which I hadn't done for any of the other shows yet. I'm just trying to put more time into a little bit of show promotion, but man, it's a lot of work. I would not want to be a promoter. That's not a job I ever want to do. Definitely gonna make it. What, Thomas? What's up, my dude? I love Thomas Earl 79. Thomas Earl 69, right, Thomas? My Patchworks crew. Thomas is one of my Patchworks homies. You're gonna make the show, Hysteric Subjects? You should. Come on out. We'll get you on a bill sometime. Come play. Oh, you know it. Yeah, dude. Show even. Make the show even. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. What else am I excited about? I know maybe I've talked about this on stream before, but I am going to be doing an Electron workshop in person at Patchworks. It will be a paid-for workshop, but it's mostly going to be geared towards people who are new to the Electron workflow. So maybe a lot of folks that are currently watching my channel aren't new to the Electron workflow. This is usually, I think, most of the folks I talk to, they're pretty familiar with these boxes if they're hanging out here. But that's something, if you are new and you want to learn about it, stay tuned for a date announcement. Hopefully it'll be this coming month. I'm going to be doing like a 2 or 3 hour session. I'm going to have all the Electron boxes out, and I'm going to explain how to connect them all together, how to make music on all of them. Because if you can make music on one of them, you can make music on all of them. And then we'll do some tips and tricks with patterns and scaling and all sorts of stuff. So it'll be a really good time, and definitely get you up to speed if you're feeling lost. We'll do that. Also, if anybody's interested in lessons on any of this stuff, and the M8, I can teach the M8. I know that thing pretty darn well. Or Bitwig. I am an instructor for Bitwig, but I prefer to work on hardware, just to be honest. But any Electron box and Orca, live coding, any of that stuff, Polyend Tracker, I can teach that too. If you're interested in lessons, you should check out easybot.live. That's my website. I love to teach. I did 3 hours of lessons today. I do lessons several times every week. I've been doing it for years. So I'm not new to the game. I can definitely get you up to speed pretty quickly. That's my spiel. That's my other commercial. That's commercial 2 of Electron Talk 28. That one not for DistroKid, however. Planning lessons for sure. Yeah, they're really great. I've worked with a lot of people. I did lessons with Andrew. I taught Andrew Huang. Well, that's what he signed up for. So I feel pretty good about it. I feel like I can help you out if you have some questions. There's no doubt about that. I'm feeling like we did like a little bit of music production. Really, we talked about music. We had a lot of time talking and hanging out. I feel like these streams are really about that. That's why I call them Electron Talk, so that I can just talk and talk and talk. I had mentioned at the beginning of the stream that this was like my gear workflow, and I do want to talk about that a little bit and why this is it. I don't plan on bringing any new instruments into this set. This is like kind of like completed, I think. I might replace this with an RE303, which I mentioned. I would replace this with a better vocoder if a better vocoder existed that was also as easy to use as the VT-4. The VT-4 like kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie. This isn't a great vocoder. This is a good enough vocoder. It does the trick. And I don't always use it to vocode. I have a gooseneck condenser mic on it, which is also not the best thing. You want to use a dynamic mic with a vocoder like this because the condenser mics pick up the room, but the convenience of this gooseneck condenser mic is that I can just lean over and just do stuff. I don't have to have a big long cable on my desk. It's really annoying to me. I have enough cables in my life as it is. But I did choose to continue to use the VT-4 because it really does just get the job done. And I would like Roland or somebody to come up with something better and more convenient than the VT-4, but nobody has. There's the Perform VE, which is like its own thing. I don't think it's as intuitive as the VT-4. I think it's actually kind of frustrating to use for me compared to this one. There's another TC Helicon one. There's a Zoom one that does sound really good. I don't own it. It's a little bit more money. I should check that one out. And then there is the Boss OXI-ONE, which is Roland, because Roland owns Boss, or Boss owns Roland. I think it's Roland owns Boss is the way it goes. But there's that one I need to check out. It's in guitar pedal format. It's $500. So that one's a lot more expensive. Then I have the vocoder in Eurorack, which is dope, but it's Eurorack, so I have to be doing Eurorack stuff, and that's where I use it. I don't know if anybody has a recommendation for me. I've looked them all up, so I doubt you know of one that I haven't heard of already, because I do my due diligence on vocoders. I'm pretty crazy about that. You want a Sennheiser VSM 201 vocoder? Hans von Wackerberg? Why do you have that symbol next to your name? How'd you do that? Maybe you do. Maybe people do know vocoders I don't know about. Because I don't know what you're talking about. Let me see. Let me see. I copy and pasted it. Sweetwater. It's a plugin. Wait, it's a plugin? I don't want a plugin. Is there one that's not a plugin? Is it like $5,000 because it's made by Sennheiser? Maybe I want it. I don't know. I don't want a plugin though. I definitely don't want a plugin. Talkbox vocoder demo. Yeah, I can show you the vocoder. So yeah, I just turn the volume up. I've already got it running into my Digitakt. And well, hang on. Let me show you this part really cool. This part really quick. It's really cool. Keyboard shift, turn the sequencer into, whoops. Oh my God, turn the sequencer into a chord sequencer. Okay, now we have, turn the robot. Now we have a chord. Let me see, is this doing what it's supposed to do? Maybe that does need to be turned on. What channel? Channel 16? No? Is that? Oh, that, there we go. Okay, so I'm using the OXI-ONE. Hello, I'll talk to the microphone. I'm using the OXI-ONE to drive the harmony in the VT-4. So this is one of the reasons why this combo works really well, is I have like the OXI-ONE on a, get me out of this menu here. Hey. Okay. Open voice, doing minor chords. So now I can just turn this up and talk into it and change chord on the OXI-ONE. Listen to how good that sounds. Okay, check this out. Let's go into the Digitakt. I said I was kind of like vibing, like thinking like I should probably get done here soon. But let's just get an example of why this can be really cool. So blank pattern. We've got this armed. Where's it coming from? Hey, what the heck? Hey, what the heck? Input left. Yeah. Okay. Oh, whoops. Okay. I'll arm in a second. I'm just gonna record. I'm just gonna record some random chords with the vocoder and then super quickly turn it into music. And just watch how good this works. Hello, my friends. Hello, this is EasyBot. This is easy. This is EasyBot. This is easy. This is EasyBot. So I could take those chords. We could crop it real quick. Bonk. And crop it on the back side. 2. Oops, zoomed way too far out. Yes. This is. Okay. I don't know what that line that I recorded was, why that came to my head. This is stupid, but that's what I did, okay? This is ISIS. That's what I wrote for a second. That is not what this is. Do not cancel me. Okay, so I saved it, put on track 8. We could play with like the warp machine or something. This is easy. 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 This is this is this is easy. This is 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 easy. This is this is easy. This is easy. This is this is easy. 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 This is. Oh, I totally lost that rhythm for a second. Wait a second. This is easy. 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 This is. Let's start with just these 16. This is easy. 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 This is this is this is this is I just this is 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 this That stuttered kick turned out really cool. This is Whoa. It's like a Daft Punk song. Really just wanted that note. How did I put that? Oh yeah, track is it? Oh, there it is. I'm like preparing a sound that I could bring in later to make it really big. So right now it's kind of like out of context, but finding sounds that work. Anyway, that's just how quickly you can make music with this grouping of music. You can grab some cool vocal samples and mess it up with the OXI, with its smart harmony. I was able to just generate stuff that sounded good, like really fast immediately. It is in the key of C, making it really simple. Didn't like what I was doing on the 303 because it's just too poppy sounding, but it's like still a fun sounding kind of track to work on. What did I leave that pattern already? So this is weird that the Syntakt is able to do this. Like, I moved patterns, but that one engine was still ringing out in different patterns from ages ago because it was like on infinite. This is the track I want to work. This is the track that I'm feeling inspired to work on again, but we're at 2 hours and that's my cutoff mark. 2 hours. So thank you everyone for hanging out. My name's Matthew, aka EasyBot. These are the streams that I like to do every Sunday at 7 o'clock. I do occasionally miss Sundays just because life happens, which is last Sunday I was out of town. Just got back from NAMM. We talked about that during the stream. We went over some music production. We just made this goofy little poppy techno Daft Punky track in 2 seconds. You could completely ignore if you want, but it is a nice demonstration of the Roland VT-4. Talked about some live performance stuff and new gear at NAMM. I do, and also DistroKid, because DistroKid is the sponsor of these streams. Thank you, DistroKid. And I like to do a little recap at the end of the stream to just, I don't know, to acknowledge that we discussed something of context. Thank you everyone for hanging out in the stream. It's a really, yeah, thank you DistroKid. Thanks Mikey303, exactly. Again, we're playing a show on the 25th with Michael, who's talking right there. We love you, Michael. Hecklifter, who's also talking, and then we love you, Hecklifter, and Ybot, who's not in the chat right now, but is a fantastic live hardware music producer, and really good time. So if you're in Seattle, come on down to the 4Bs on the 25th at 7 o'clock. Come hang out. If you'd like to play a show in Seattle and you feel confident about that and you want to do it, you can go ahead and hit me up. Come on, join the Discord. There will be a link in the video description or in the comments section on this stream. I always drop a link there. So join the Discord, come and hang out. If you're interested in lessons on how to do what I'm doing here and what a lot of us are doing, feel free to visit easybot.live and hit me up. I'm happy to work with you. It's a lot of fun. You get a recording of it too, which you get to keep forever. Not that that's of immense value. I'm not like the president or something, but it's cool that you can review it. So that's a part of the whole deal. But yeah, as usual, I'm super grateful that everybody hangs out. I'm very grateful. I don't want to say super to every word. That's so annoying. But I'm very grateful for everyone who hangs out in these streams and keeps me company while I talk about my favorite gear and tips and tricks with Electron stuff. So again, I'm Matthew. I'll see y'all next Sunday at 7 o'clock and look forward to a video coming out because I intend on filming and dropping a video in the next couple of days. All right. See you later, guys.